In these video lectures, I'll be discussing graphical sensitivity analysis. We discussed this concept in detail in class, but few students were finding it difficult. So I have made these video lectures uh, to help you understand this concept. So as I discussed, that sensitivity analysis is basically a post-optimality analysis. That means that it can only be done once you have an optimal solution. So in the first phase, I'll find an optimal solution using the graphical method to a problem. It's a small problem in which a company is trying to find an optimal product mix. The company can make bowls and mugs, and each bowl has $40 profit and mug has $50 profit. And company wants to know the product mix that would maximize its profit. And the company has limited resources of labor and clay. There are 40 hours of labor available and 120 pounds of clay available. So in the first step, to formulate a mathematical model of a linear programming problem, the first step is to define the decision variables. And since it's a maximization problem and the company wants to know the number of bowls and mugs, so we will have two decision variables. X1 is the number of bowls to produce and X2 would be number of mugs to produce. The step 2 for the problem formulation is the formulation of the objective function, and remember that it should be done in terms of decision variables that you have defined earlier in step 1. So since it's a maximization problem, we will write it as maximize z. Z is basically just used to denote the objective function, and it should be equal to the profit for the bowl, that is 40, into number of bowls plus 50 profit of mugs into the number of mugs produced. So the profit function will be maximize z is equal to 40 x1 plus 50 x2. The third step is the formulation of constraints. There are three constraints. The first constraint is the labor constraint, and that is saying that the first constraint is telling us that 1 hour of labor is required in making a bowl plus 2 hours of labor is required in making a mug, and the total labor that can be consumed in making bowls and mugs, it should be less than or equal to 40. The second constraint is about the clay, that is telling us that total clay consumed should be less than equal to 120. Finally, we have a non-negativity constraint that is telling us x1 and x2, they should be greater than or equal to 0. So after formulating the problem, we go towards the graphical solution. The first step is the plotting the constraints. So first we will plot the labor constraint, and this is the constraint is x1 plus 2x2 less than equal to 40. The way to plot it is to find 2 points so that this line can be plotted. For finding these 2 points, we will first put this constraint equal to 40. We will replace less than equal to by simply equal to, and then we will put x1 is equal to 0 in this equation, and this will give us 2x2 is equal to 40 or x2 is equal to 20. So the first point for the labor constraint line will be 0, 20. Similarly, we will now put x2 equal to 0, and we will find x1 plus 2 into 0 equal to 40, and x1 is equal to 40. So the second point would be 40 comma 0. So with these 2 points 0 comma 20 and 40 comma 0, we can plot these lines on this graph, and this will give us the labor constraint. And since the constraint says that this line that this constraint should be less than equal to 40, so that means all the area on this graph below this line is a feasible region for this constraint. In a similar fashion, we can plot the clay constraint. It is done using the procedure that we discussed earlier. First we will put x1, we will put this equation equal to 120, and then we will put x1 equal to 0. This will give us 3x2 is equal to 120 or x2 is equal to 40. So the first point would be 0 comma 40, and then again using this equation we will put x2 equal to 0, and this will give us 4x1 equal to 120 and x1 is equal to 30. So the second point would be 30 comma 0. So 30 comma 0 is here on this graph and 0 comma 40 is here. We will join these points with a line, and since this constraint it tells us that 4x1 plus 3x2 should be less than equal to 120, so all the region below this line should be a feasible region for this constraint. Now, when we overlap these constraints, we see that the gray area and the hatching done in the gray line in the gray color. This is the area that is feasible for the clay constraint, and the light blue area. This area is feasible to the labor constraint. Now, this situation requires us to understand that there may be some points in this graph which will be feasible and which will be infeasible. Let's say we have a point here A, and then we have a point here B, and then C, and then D. Now A is okay for clay constraint, but it is not good for the labor, so the solution at point A will be infeasible. And similarly the point B, it is okay for clay as well as it is okay for labor, so it's a feasible point. Point C, if you can see that it is okay for labor but it is NG for clay, so it is a infeasible point, infeasible solution point. Point D will is NG for both clay and labor. So based on this discussion we can see that if a solution it violates any of the constraint, it is infeasible. So based on this discussion we can define a feasible region which is common to both of the constraints, and this is the area that is highlighted here. Now this area, this feasible area is the area in which our solution lies, and there can be millions of points in this feasible region. And how can we find the optimal point for this problem? So the one approach is using the isoprofit lines. In the isoprofit lines we just we equate the objective function to some arbitrary value. Generally we use a value that is a multiple of both 40 and 50. Let's say we use 800, and if we put x1 is equal to 0, then x2 is equal to 16, and then if we put x2 equal to 0, then x1 is equal to 20. So using these 2 points 0 comma 16 uh, 16 and 20 comma 0, we can plot the an isoprofit line. And in a similar fashion, if I put this objective function equal to another arbitrary value, let's say let it be 1200, then it can give me 2 points. X1 is equal to 0, x2 equal to 24, and x, if it is equal to 0, x1 is equal to 30. So if I draw a line using these 2 points, then I will have a line like this. So the basic idea is to draw the isoprofit lines and find such a line that is uh, uh, farthest away from the origin, and because it's a maximization problem, so we need to find a point that is farthest away from the origin and it is still touching the last point of the feasible area. But as you can see, this is a very cumbersome approach. We have to draw lines repeatedly, draw lines, and then only then we can find the optimum point. So another approach to solving this to finding this optimum line is by utilizing few characteristics of a linear programming problem. These characteristics tell us that instead of looking for all the solution space, all the space in the feasible region, we should look for the points that are on the boundary of the feasible solution area, and this narrows down our search. And the second point is that the optimum point will be at the intersection of the two constraints, and the optimum point will lie on the extreme points. So from all of the space that was available in the feasible region, now we have shortlisted 3 points. As you can see here, these 3 points are the extreme points on the boundary of a feasible region, and point B is basically formed by the intersection of the clay and the labor constraint. Point A point a it is formed by the intersection of the labor constraint and a non-negativity constraint. As you can see that this axis is telling us that x2 should be greater than equal to 0, which was one of our constraint. So this point A is found by the intersection of the labor constraint and the non-negativity constraint x2 greater than equal to 0. Similarly, point C is formed by the intersection of the clay constraint and the non-negativity constraint x1 greater than equal to 0. So now we have 3 points, and for these 3 points we can test them, and we know that our optimum solution lies within these 3 points. So before finding the profit at these three lines, we need to find the coordinates of these points. The coordinates of A are straightforward. A has 0 along the x1 and the 20 along the x2, and C has the coordinates of 30 comma 0. B point is basically the intersection of two lines, and we can solve these two lines to find the points coordinates of B. So let's call the first equation as A and the second as B. So if I multiply equation A by 4 and then subtract it from B, I will have, this is the B equation B, 4x1 plus 3x2 equal to 120, and now I have multiplied this equation by 4 and it will become 4x1 plus 8x2 equal to 160, and if I subtract it from the equation B, I'll have minus 5x2 equal to minus 40, or x2 equal to 8. And then if I put this value of x2 in let's say in equation A, I will have x1 plus 2 into 8 is equal to 40, or x1 equal to 24. Now, so that means the coordinates of uh, B are 24 and 8. So using the coordinates of these 3 points, we can find the profit. So let's first find the profit at A, which has the coordinates of 0 comma 20. So the profit is Z is equal to 40 into 0 into plus 50 to 20. We are finding the profit using this equation. So we are just plugging in the value of x1 and x2. So the profit is 1000. Similarly, we can find the profit at B, and that is $1,360, and at the C it's $1,200. So this gives us the optimal solution, and we see that the maximum profit can be achieved by using the product mix according to the point B. Point B means that we are going to produce x1 equal to 20 in quantity of 24 and x2 in the quantity of 8, and if we do this we will have a profit of $1,360. So this is the first step to finding an optimal solution. So we are done with it. So once we are done with the optimal solution, we can now do the sensitivity analysis. In the next video I will show you the graphical method of doing the sensitivity analysis. Thank you.